This is transphobia. There's no other way to describe it. He's freaking out because kids will know that trans people exist. I don't know how else to define that. You're scared that kids will know that trans people exist. It's transphobia, dude.
This organized chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. I feel it's important to talk about racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia. These are all things that get brought up on the channel fairly frequently considering the type of content I'm looking at. And it feels important to really go over them because we're going to be looking into Geeks and Gamers. I've gotten plenty of requests for Geeks and Gamers, so this video is going to be kind of a dive into them. I'm going to cover a couple different videos, so this will definitely be a bit longer than normal. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and talk about, racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia. And I'm sure people in the comments will be telling me how I'm wrong about this, but I'm not. To put it very simply, is it possible to have issues with a woman in a movie or a minority in a movie or a, LGBTQ plus person in a movie? And the answer is it all depends. It's all about the nuances. If you have an issue with the writing, if you have an issue with the performance, stuff like that, yeah, you're 100% fine to have an issue with stuff like that. If your issue, however, is just such a person exists or such a person has more of a prominent role than you think a person of that standing should have, that's an issue. But just in general, let's say you watch a movie and you think a certain woman doesn't do a good job. Critiquing that performance is not an issue. However, if you always look for an issue in a performance from a woman, you're probably being sexist. One of the huge indicators as to why these channels that I frequently look at anymore, primarily these anti-woke channels, definitely fall under this heading, is because frequently they don't even look at movies. They look at things like trailers. And they'll be like, woman character sucks because trailer. Which doesn't even fully represent the thing that they're in. It's literally just like a sizzle reel trying to get you to watch it. And they're saying, woman sucks because sizzle reel. Nah, that's pretty sexist right there. But I think it's important to establish that because when you deal with sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, you're dealing with patterns of behavior. It's not so much they occasionally tell a joke that might fall into that category. Because odds are we've all told a cringy joke in our time. I don't want to go after people for occasionally telling a cringy joke because we all occasionally tell a cringy joke. That definitely might fall under that heading. But it's worth pointing out these people because they're outrageously popular and they always find jokes like this. So, to introduce me heading into Geeks and Gamers here, a channel that I haven't seen a whole lot of. That being said, the little bit I've seen, it does strike me they are very different from much more popular channels that kind of derive from them, such as Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker. In that, if you look at Nerdrotic's older videos, they're very different. And it really gives off the vibe that he is right now. He's got his fan base and he is just going after those views. He's grifting. And it won't surprise me at all if Critical Drinker's the same way, because Critical Drinker, maybe about a third of his videos, if you were to cut like 30-second segments from about a third of his videos, you would have a 100% decent review. He always, even if it's a decent video, he always sneaks in some sort of cringe anymore. And if you look at speculation videos, they are pure cringe. But Geeks and Gamers strikes me as different. They strike me as more just genuine in their racism, sexism, ooh. Geeks and Gamers is owned by, what is his name? It's Jeremy Griggs. And a guy also seems to pop up frequently in these videos is Ryan Kinel. And something that was DM'd to me was a clip of Ryan Kinel. And it looks like it's a clip at some sort of Simpsons place. But in it, he makes a extremely bad joke. And we are going to experience this together because it's a bad one.
They have a memorial to George Floyd.
Oh my gosh! George Floyd Memorial Live! Wait,
look at that. They got a Derek Chauvin George Floyd Memorial.
Dude, that's insane. Jebediah Springfield fire.
They always got a lot of tourists, you know.
That was a clip that has been made unlisted that was shared with me. It was shared with me through a DM, so I'm not going to reveal the person who shared it, but I do want to say thank you. But it really shows the character of these guys. Because that is definitely a racist joke. And if it was just that one super, I'm not going to lie, that's an incredibly bad clip. It's tough to get away with that, but it's one of those things where if you apologized, maybe. But you know what? We have a couple different requests about Geeks and Gamers, and we're just going to go ahead and pile through them all. And I'll be blunt. I don't think it's going to get better. Alright, so this request we're going to get to is kind of an old one. If you'd like to either tackle Geeks and Gamers or watch Quartering's Baymax video, if you're even into that, yes. Now, when I look up Geeks and Gamers, what I'm ending up with a Ryan Kinel Baymax video, which he's on Geeks and Gamers a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and check out that one.
Several months ago, Disney found themselves in the middle of another controversy. In the midst of the backlash to the Parental Rights and Education bill, when some employees at Disney demanded that Bob Chapek stand against this bill in Florida.
In case you're wondering, this is also called the Don't Say Gay bill. This was the bill when it was rumored to start passing. Mark Hamill started bombing DeSantis's Twitter with the word gay. What it is it's a bill that doesn't allow you to discuss essentially your sexual partner in school. Now, here's the problem with this bill. The problem is, do you think it's ever going to be held against heterosexual couples? Of course it's not. This is obviously a way to target homosexual couples. And they try to code it, oh, you just shouldn't be talking about sex in front of kids. And when it's not actually talking about sex. Just, hey, you're a man, and who's that other man in that photo? Oh, it's so-and-so's husband. Wait, you're two men? Why are you married? Kids will have these questions. The whole point is to say, no, they're not allowed to have these questions. It was a terrible, terrible bill. And these guys blew up because Disney said they wouldn't support it. After initially saying they would support it. Disney backed down and said they wouldn't support it. And now all these guys are anti-Disney. The Disney hate train really got hyped up after Disney said they wouldn't support this bill. Which is a good thing. Listen. You want to say Disney's evil? Disney is outrageously evil. But they have shown that they can be pressured to do the right thing. Still evil, but take the wins where you can. And these guys are freaking out over just the slightest thing. Just, oh, you know what? I guess we will allow gay people to be teachers if they want. Ooh, big stretch. And these guys freak out over it.
There were Zoom calls leaked of Disney executives where they admitted that they have a not at all secret gay agenda that they're trying to put.
I would like a source. Everybody keeps on talking about the leaked calls or documents where Disney says they have they're gonna push the gay agenda. I'm getting this in my comments all the time, and every time I simply ask them for a source, they blow up at me in rage. Give me a fucking source saying Disney is gonna push the gay agenda, that there's an official document from Disney saying we're gonna push the gay agenda. Because last I've seen, Disney is like every other fucking company, and honestly pushing the heterosexual agenda. But which these guys are 100% fine with.
Into Disney products, and especially ones that are geared towards children. They admitted that they know that kids are more impressionable, so that's why they target that specific demographic. And now we're...
Yeah, lots of businesses do that. It's a thing.
Seen that play out in full time with the most recent Disney Plus series, Baymax. Disney animated children's series Baymax features transgender man who menstruates. And of course, man is in quotation marks there. And
oh my god! The Baymax series is gonna feature trans people who exist in real life. No, seriously, I don't understand why these people care. This is probably gonna be a blink and you miss it moment, too. I haven't seen the Baymax series, I don't even know if it's out yet, and I literally don't care. I love that that source is Breitbart, too. I'm sure that is the most level source in the world. You're gonna get fair reporting from Breitbart for certain.
once again, we have Christopher Rufo with some video that has gone viral, several million views already. And I think it's safe to say that the vast majority of people, by that I mean, like 99% of people out there, even if they disagree with someone's lifestyle or don't think that someone should be living that way or whatever, they're pretty fine with people just doing their thing, existing and living their lives the way that they want to, as long as it doesn't affect yours. But as...
Then why do you have a problem with this? All this is doing is saying person exists. I mean, whoop-de shit.
As soon as you have something or you have some sort of propaganda that's engineered toward children...
How's it propaganda to say a person who exists? Explain that to me. How's it propaganda to simply feature a gay person or a trans person in something, when gay and trans people just exist in real life? Is it also propaganda to have black people and stuff? Is it propaganda to have white people and stuff? Where does the definition of propaganda end at this point? Jesus Christ.
Then a lot of people are going to get up in arms. A lot of people are going to get upset about that because your child is one of the people that's being targeted with propaganda.
The propaganda of seeing that trans people exist. I mean, holy shit, yes, trans people exist. Odds are, you know, it's a vast minority of the population that's trans, but they do exist, and odds are you will encounter them in your life, as will your child. Just having them exist doesn't mean anything. Why do you care?
That's what we're seeing in the case of Baymax.
I mean, this is transphobia. There's no other way to describe it. He's freaking out because kids will know that trans people exist. I don't know how else to define that. You're scared that kids will know that trans people exist. It's transphobia, dude.
In Disney's latest effort to smuggle transgender ideology into its entertainment for kids, the new animated Disney Plus series Baymax features...
What is transgender ideology? Just acknowledging that trans people exist? Ugh, Jesus.
A transgender man in quotations there, who menstruates and gives...
Yeah, man in quotation, because you're looking at a fucking Breitbart article. Jesus.
Advice on which maxi pad to buy. Quote, the one with wings. Now, Baymax began streaming on Wednesday. I've got a couple other things from this specific episode.
Do we have clips? You talk about something going viral on here. Do we have clips of this totally shocking thing? Okay, this is the big scene.
Excuse me, which of these products would you recommend?
Oh, well, These are the tampons I usually use.
Thank you.
I prefer pads. They're more comfortable for me.
Thank you.
I always get the ones with wings.
Thank you.
Get unscented and bleach-free if you can.
Thank you.
Yo, my daughter loves these.
Thank you.
These might be easier if it's her first period.
Thank
These
you.
are really environmentally friendly.
So that was it. So, apparently this is a trans man. Could also be just a butch woman. I mean, we come in all shapes and sizes. Literally, if they didn't scream about being a trans man, I wouldn't really even register it. Just be like, oh, I didn't know. Who gives a shit? Oh my god, that was nothing. Yeah, and I hope that's it. Yeah. Jesus Christ, who gives a
So
shit?
thanks to Odin's movie blog, well, OMB Reviews, I should say, a friend Odin from Friday Night Tights and Geeks and Gamers. He says, what the hell is wrong with you, Disney? Hashtag Baymax, hashtag groomers.
What the hell is wrong with you guys? Jesus Christ. A kid won't even register that was a trans man. I barely registered that I was a trans man. If I was just sitting down and watching out with my kid, I probably wouldn't even register that. Maybe there's a question, the kid goes, hey, is that a man? And maybe I have to explain to my child, oh, you know what? Sometimes there are people who are born women and realize that that is not the gender that is proper for them and later in life identify as male and they'll have periods. Oh my God, what a shocking discussion to have with my child. I hate teaching my child about things that happen in real life. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen from that scene. The absolute worst case scenarios, you have to talk to your child about things in real life. Oh, fucking no.
And maybe because of this, they've got an all-gender restroom included in this episode.
Unigender bathrooms have been around forever. That was a famous setting in the TV series Ally McBeal. Hell, you go to lots of places, actually, you will have a men's room and women's room and a family restroom, and guess what? That family restroom is 100% unigender. It doesn't matter. Oh my God, who gives a shit, dude? Did you know that in your home right now you have an all-gender bathroom?
But first, I want to show the clip that has everybody up in arms right now.
Jesus, this is just straight up fucking transphobia. God damn. Holy shit.
Transgender character appears in episode 3 titled Sophia, in which Baymax assists a 12-year-old girl who experiences her first period. When a mortified Sophia barricades herself in a gender-neutral restroom, again, which we saw here from Odin, gender-neutral, all-gender restroom.
Okay, I'll go ahead and be blunt. I would like it if all bathrooms are all gender. I'd be fine doing away with urinals. I guess if women really want urinals with them, that's fine, but I'd be fine doing away with urinals. Urinals are just a weird place where you can stand next to other men and whip out your dick and pee awkwardly standing a foot away from them. It's weird. We don't need urinals.
Baymax offers to buy her, quote, menstrual hygiene products. There's a completely different discussion that a lot of people are probably going to have on whether you should be doing something about a 12-year-old girl menstruating in a...
Well, 12-year-old girls might menstruate, so introducing the idea that that is normal seems fine to me.
Children's show, right? That's a separate conversation. The one that the majority of people are talking about right now is what happens in the aftermath. Exclusive. I've obtained leaked video from Disney's upcoming show Baymax, which promotes the transgender...
Oh, is he gonna play that clip? Oh my God.
...flagging the idea that men can have periods to children as young as 2 years old.
Oh, I did notice they had a flag t-shirt. Is that supposed to be... is that the transgender flag? Okay, yeah, I don't know all the flags. I'll be blunt. So, okay, so it's definitely supposed to be a transgender person. Again, I don't give a shit. Transgender people exist. If you're a parent and you don't want other people to tell your children that transgender people exist, then you need to sit down and tell them.
Let's watch a little bit of this from Christopher Rufo. We'll pull it up on Twitter and we'll watch.
Excuse me, Which of these products would you recommend?
So this is Baymax in essentially like the tampon aisle, the maxi pad aisle, all that stuff, asking questions. Which again, if he knows all this stuff, I don't really know why he would ask. He should actually be like...
Because why would Baymax be programmed with how to buy tampons? I missed him putting that chip in the in that movie. I missed that one.
Understanding of all this stuff, but anyway, that's a separate question.
Oh, well, these are the tampons
Why is the audio so crappy? Is he just getting leaked footage? I guess maybe they put it online after it was leaked.
I usually use.
Thank you.
I prefer pads. They're more comfortable for me.
Thank you.
Now there is another individual right here that's about to come in your
Oh my god, no!
screen. I had to shrink it down a little bit so you can see. This person is about to come in. They have a strong jawline and they're wearing a trans flag shirt. Listen to what they say.
I always get the ones with wings.
Thank you.
Get on set.
I always get the ones with wings. Let's listen to that again.
Oh my god, why? Why? It's a 2-second line. Holy shit.
Comfortable for me.
Thank you.
I always get the ones with wings.
Thank you.
Get unscented and bleach.
This is what everyone's talking about. You have a transgender man who is offering advice for maxi pads or tampons.
Yes, because transgender men might menstruate. Is that what you need to hear? Is that what you need to know? Yes, transgender men typically menstruate. Can you handle that?
Bonds or whatever. The ones with wings are obviously...
I betcha if they could figure out a way so that trans men wouldn't have to worry about menstruating, they would jump on that. Because by my understanding, nobody really enjoys menstruating. I bet you they would jump on the opportunity to get out of that.
It's going to be pads. This isn't a children's show.
Yes, because people menstruate in real life, so introducing the idea that menstruating is normal doesn't seem like a terrible thing to introduce to children. And also, trans people exist in real life, just like you and me. So introducing the idea that trans people are normal also seems like a good idea to me. I don't have an issue with this whatsoever. Why do you? This is one of those, this is like the Lightyear kiss. Blink and you fucking miss it, too.
We talked about the not-so-secret gay agenda, about them promoting something...
Not-so-secret gay agenda. What's your sources there as a gay agenda? This just looks like acknowledging that trans people exist. Because this is... Do we know this person's gay? They're just trans. We don't know they're gay.
About trying to slip things in there for children. This is what those leaked Zoom calls were all about, and everyone's seen it play out in front of your very eyes. Now, Odin did share a couple of other videos that was kind of setting up how it got to that position, which again, I think is a separate conversation, right? Of whether this type of material should be targeted towards children. Menstruation, obviously menstruation is something that happens. It's something that happens normally. Would I write a story about a 12-year-old girl going through that? I probably wouldn't write that. Probably wouldn't. But this is how they set that up.
Seasonal allergies and are currently menstruating. Mild season.
Right, and then she pulls him into the stall there, and then says this.
I just got my first period.
Correct.
Oh, my stomach hurts.
Mild abdominal cramping is
I
typical.
can't believe this is happening. This isn't supposed to. I wasn't prepared for this. And the dispenser's empty, and I don't even have a thing. I just got my first period.
So that's what sets up his entire...
So the fuck what? I don't care. Yes, she's 12 and she's menstruating. It happens. Grow up.
Trip to go out there and ask for advice on menstruation products. Disney told us what they were doing. Disney admitted what they were doing, and now in the most recent Baymax cartoon that just released on Disney Plus, now everyone can see for themselves. It's clearly targeted towards children, and they're clearly putting things in there to advance their agenda. And
advance their agenda. The agenda that of acknowledging that trans people exist and that 12-year-old girls might get periods. What a terrible agenda. An agenda of acknowledging things that actually exist and maybe kids should be aware of them so when they happen they're not completely uncomfortable with them. Crazy idea.
People are not happy about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
So yeah, no, that's... I don't know if I kind of want to say sexism over freaking out over the fucking period, because that's just kind of weird because who cares? But that whole video is transphobia. Just outright transphobia. I don't have another way to, I don't have another thing to call it. That's what that was. That was outright transphobia. But that is not the only, Geeks and Gamers related thing I've gotten. Alright, so this one's gonna be another look at Ryan Kinel from Red Yoshi. Want to do Ryan Kinel's video, Phase 4 was killed at Comic-Con? Yep. I guess that fits this theme nicely as well. So, Kevin Feige just killed Phase 4 of the MCU. It was a complete disaster for Marvel. So, I guess before I get into this, I'll go ahead and explain to people that these phases are essentially film slates. Yes, they are more connected than your average film slate. But the fact is, the MCU, despite the pandemic, did the entirety of Phase 4 that it announced, plus 2 additional Disney Plus series, plus 2 additional movies. I believe those are the numbers. I know it's at least done everything it planned to do. So, for a studio to announce a film slate, and despite a pandemic, get all those movies out, is actually pretty impressive. You should look at the DCEU's track record. Not that great. Marvel pulled it off just fine. Probably not just fine. I know they had issues. But let's see what he has to say.
Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a complete and total disaster for Disney and for Kevin Feige. You've had box office flops. You've had big budget disappointments. You've had lawsuits.
So the least successful movies by a decent margin have been Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals. These were the first movies coming out after theaters started opening for the pandemic, so they were softer. I think we always expected Eternals to be softer. Plus, I mean, I think it's also worth adding, all these movies actually did better than a decent amount of Phase 1 movies. They definitely did better than The Incredible Hulk. And if we look, here's the 2019 picture that he has up on his thing. 2019, Phase 4, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Eternals, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, WandaVision, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Loki, What If, Hawkeye. So that was their announcement slate for Phase 4. Which one of those didn't happen? Oh shit, they all happened. Sounds like Phase 4 is in pretty good shape.
From some of your movie stars. You've had Disney Plus series that are meaningless, that no one can get excited for. And behind it all,
I'm trying to think of the meaningless Disney Plus series. I mean, you may not like it, but I'm trying to think of any one that I would consider meaningless. They all added something to the story. What, maybe What If? But even What If was expanding the idea of the multiverse, which is clearly going to be a big role going into the next couple phases for the MCU. This is a setup phase.
You've had this clear and obvious push for identity politics, diversity, representation, and inclusion.
Like I said, if you have an issue with a woman character with a performance or how she's written, that's one thing. But just having an issue with women or minorities or LGBTQ people being represented in media, just having that issue by itself, not good.
Inclusion ahead of telling an actual story, and they're pushing on.
When did they put that ahead of pushing an actual story? Like Hawkeye. Kate Bishop was essentially the co-star of Hawkeye. When was the fact that she was a woman made a major issue in that series? When did they stop and say, you're a woman and you do woman things in that series? I'll wait. You can send me an email. I'll wait for that one. What else is there? WandaVision? Did they stop and tell Wanda, you're a woman and you do woman things? I missed that too.
Audiences away. It's gotten so bad that Kevin Feige came out at San Diego Comic-Con and said, you know what? Phase 4 is dead.
Yes. Well, we're not killing it. Phase 4 is done because we've got it almost done. He actually didn't say it's done because they're going to put Black Panther in it as well, which actually was originally planned for Phase 5. They're putting it in Phase 4. So Phase 4 has done everything planned, plus a little bit more.
Killing it and moving on. SDCC, Kevin Feige declares MCU Phase 4 over with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And you had a lot of people that were surprised when they made this announcement there at San Diego Comic-Con, because just a month ago, Kevin Feige said something completely different. Kevin Feige promises MCU fans the next saga will be clear as Phase 4 nears its end.
How's that something different? He's literally saying Phase 4 is near its end. And the saga is going to be clear. The saga is actually Phase 4 through 6 is what he said. So what he said is exactly right there.
You know, he gave a statement that, I know there's a lot of people that aren't sure what direction we're headed in because, we continue to have little post-credit scenes that don't mean anything. You guys don't really...
Yeah, because they're setting up the story. That's what they're doing.
Know what the plan is going forward. It's just these movies that seem to be full of identity politics that don't have a...
Give me an example. I know you guys will be in the comments. Give me an example of a Marvel movie or series that was all about identity politics. That was only about identity politics. Give me that one. Give me that one. Because that's the issue. When you guys are yelling woke about fucking everything, it means nothing. When you guys yell identity politics over everything, it means nothing.
A clear direction, but Kevin Feige said, don't worry, we've got a long way to go in Phase 4, and it'll become clear as we wind down near the end. Well,
where's the quote where he says we have a long way to go, Phase 4? Because what you just brought up said Phase 4 is near its end, but we have a long way to go with the saga. What's the statement, dude?
Well, the thing is, back when that happened, there was a lot more Phase 4 films. The upcoming Phase 4 movies include Thor: Love and Thunder, which just got released, barely crossed $600 million at the box office. Again, it's a massive disappointment. We'll struggle to even get to $700 million on a $250 million budget. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and The Marvels.
That's interesting. Let's look up. Because I never thought Ant-Man 3 or Guardians of the Galaxy 3 were supposed to be in Phase 4. Let's look this up. Kevin Feige promises MCU fans next saga will become clear as Phase 4 nears end. As we're nearing the end of Phase 4, I think people will start to see where the next saga is going, Feige promised. I think there have been many clues already that are at least apparent to me of where this whole saga is going, but we'll be a little more direct about that in coming months to set a plan so audiences who want to see the bigger picture see a tiny bit more of the roadmap. And then it says, the upcoming Phase 4 movies include Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. There's also the Fantastic Four reboot that's in development. This is the first I've seen of any source commenting that Ant-Man 3, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or Marvels would be Phase 4. I've never seen anything saying that. Okay, so according to this, which is what I've originally read, he confirmed there would be connections between the films and series with the events of WandaVision directly setting up Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness and Loki tying into it. Feige said that these 10 projects, the 10 projects being Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye are Phase 4. However, Marvel is developing further projects at this time, as of such the long development Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, sequels to Black Panther and Captain Marvel, and a film based on Fantastic Four. So these are just in development while Phase 4 is coming out. Variety is usually fairly good, but I think they just messed this one up. Because I haven't seen anything that said those projects were definitely Phase 4. What's most likely is that they just announced they have these other projects they're also doing, but, maybe they're part of Phase 4. We'll see. I think what was clear is that they're working on these other projects, and if they get done in time, maybe they'll be Phase 4, but, we don't know yet.
So not only Black Panther, but Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, basically, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and the Marvels. All of these things were supposed to happen in Phase 4.
Yeah, I think Variety got that part wrong. Because I've never seen anything about those definitely being part of Phase 4. Never.
Well, that's not happening anymore. Kevin Feige...
Well, they're still happening. They're just going to be Phase 5. Does that matter to you? Oh, I was going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was part of Phase 4. But since it's Phase 5, fuck it. No.
Killed it. He has killed Phase 4. We're moving on to Phase 5. So now Quantumania is part of Phase 5. The Marvels are part of Phase 5. All this other stuff, part of Phase 5 of the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 gets moved to Phase 5. Now you have Echo, Loki Season 2, Blade, Ironheart, Agatha, the Daredevil reboot, which I'm sure will not destroy him in any way, shape, or form. And you even have Captain America, New World Order. Interesting title that you went for there, Kevin Feige, but there is a reason that Kevin Feige killed it. It's because, like we have been saying, like so many people refuse to believe, Phase 4 has been a disaster. It seems like the only plan they really ever had for Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was push diversity and female empowerment.
Okay, show me. Show me how that's their sole plan, because what I've been seeing is largely multiverse stuff, a couple of solo origin stories, but mostly multiverse stuff. That's been the clear story they've been going with. That's what you had with Loki, that's what you had with What If, that's what you had with Doctor Strange 2, that's what you had with Spider-Man No Way Home. That seems to be more your linking connection issue, not women being movie. And you know what? If they're pushing diversity, good. They could use a bit more diversity. It's been too many white men in that goddamn franchise for too goddamn long.
That's what Kevin Feige told us he wanted to do. That's what they did. But unfortunately for the bottom line, it hasn't been very good for them.
Yeah, and there's been nothing else that happened during that time. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's only been diversity that has limited the box office, that is actually now going back up. Yeah, the first couple movies that first year, they did fine, but not great. Admit, clearly. They aren't breaking box office records. They did all right. Black Widow especially came out. It was like fairly early when theaters started opening up. The pandemic wiped out theaters, and they're rebuilding. They're still rebuilding to this year, but the numbers are still way lower. With the exception of stuff like No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness is at almost $1 billion now. Love and Thunder is at 700 million. They're rebuilding. They're coming back up.
The MCU's Phase 4 was an utter disaster, and there's a reason Kevin Feige killed it at Comic-Con.
Because we had completed all the projects we'd planned for Phase 4. So, it's less that we're killing it and more that it's ending.
On Saturday afternoon, Kevin Feige returned to Comic-Con to announce Phase 4 of the longest-running cinematic soap opera and theme park ride in the history of movies is over. Then he hyped up Phase 5 and Phase 6 of the MCU. Phase 4 was pound for pound the worst phase of this over-bloated universe. It's not just an opinion, but it's according to box office receipts, and I don't...
according to box office receipts, it's still Phase 1, correct? Okay, so I did all of these fucking numbers, and I actually have them in the Critical Drinker video, but I can pull them up here as well. Alright, so these are all approximate. Assuming I got correct budget estimates, which, movies can always flub about. But Phase 1, per movie average profit, rounding up, $469 million per movie. And then if you take out the Avengers, which we all know the Avengers movies are huge, then they are only averaging a profit of $303 million per movie. Now, Phase 4, which doesn't have an Avengers movie, as of the time I collected these numbers, is averaging $590 million per movie, average profit. Marvel Phase 4 is actually performing decent, it's not quite as well as Phase 2 looking at the numbers, but it's around the same level, and considering we're dealing with a pandemic for this first We're still recovering from the pandemic for the first year. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. It didn't do as well as Phase 3, but Phase 3 was a fucking dynamo. We cannot expect it to do as well as Phase 3. So looking at the box office numbers, Phase 4 is actually fine.
I think too many people are excited about the future after seeing what they've done. We've seen them blame everything on COVID. Oh, the pandemic box office.
Do you honestly think COVID didn't affect the box office, dude? Do you genuinely think COVID has not affected the box office? Are you insane? Of course it has. It clearly has.
Blah, blah, blah. No, you can't blame COVID. You can't blame that on the box.
Why not? I mean, it's a completely legit excuse. COVID was a thing. Theaters were shut down for a year. Over a year. How long were they shut down? I don't remember. They were shut down most of 2020. I know that.
Box office woes. Look at the huge successes we've seen. Look at even a Marvel product, which didn't come from Disney, but came instead from Sony. Spider-Man No Way Home. Nearly $2 billion at the box office. You can't blame the pandemic for this.
Yes, but overall, movie receipts are lower. Overall, they are much lower across the board. Yes, you have exceptions like Spider-Man No Way Home, like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like Top Gun Maverick. You have these exceptions. Jurassic World Dominion looks to be another exception. But overall, the numbers are significantly lower than they were in 2019. We're still rebuilding.
But let's look. Black Widow. Black Widow came out. They released it day and day on Disney+. It lost a ton of money from its production budget. And oh yeah, they got sued by Scarlett Johansson. That didn't go.
Well, yeah, no, they were super shitty to start Scarlett Johansson. Because part of her deal with doing that movie is that she would get part of the box office revenue. And when they put it on Disney+, they didn't make a deal with her to cut her in on that, which the original plan was that Black Widow would exclusively release to theaters, so there won't be a Disney Plus cut. But when they did the Disney Plus thing, then she was like, hey, fuck you guys, I'm supposed to get a cut of that. And good on her.
Goes super well.
And, you know, I thought you guys hate Black Widow anyway. Why do you care?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Remember Shang-Chi when it's just the most stunning and brave thing ever? In reality, it...
Stunning and brave thing ever. Whatever, man.
Barely broke even, made like $25 to $30 million total. And when they were still had people...
Well, I would like to see your budget numbers. From the budget numbers I've been able to find, Shang-Chi made $282 million. Last time I saw I would happily take $200 million. I will take that money.
Believing, the pandemic box office, it'll never recover. This is...
Yes. Dude, the pandemic was a thing. I know people on your side, knowing how crazy you've been talking, you probably don't believe the pandemic actually existed, but it fucking existed. Theaters were shut down, dude. Cope.
The new normal. They had people believing that like shouted this from the rooftops as if it were a great success. Congrats on barely breaking even. Then we had The Eternals. The Eternals lost a ton of money, only made $400 million at the box office, easily lost $100 million for Disney. Then you did have the one shining spot for them, Spider-Man No Way Home. Nearly $2 billion at the box office, but unfortunately, like the article points out, there's only one problem. This film's under the Sony umbrella and not Marvel. Marvel got only 25% of the profits versus the 75% that went to Sony, meaning their most successful venture post-Endgame was a co-production with another studio.
Are they crying? Are they crying about that? Is it only considered a success if you produce it solo? Why do these guys always have to look for excuses to be like, oh, they're failing. Oh, that movie made almost $2 billion. Oh, they're failing.
Oh, oof. And then you had Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Now, you do have to consider this a financial success for Disney. A movie that cost $200 million to make. That was the budget. So it needs to make around $500 million to break even. Ends up making $950 million. But I will say, it made $450 million that opening weekend. It dropped off in a big way. Normally tracking what you would have normally considered for the MCU before Phase 4, this movie easily hits $1 billion, probably into the $1.3, $1.4 billion range.
Yes, almost like there's a pandemic that slows down ticket sales, you know?
Potentially. It should be considered a disappointment that it didn't get to $1 billion, but still, this movie made a lot of money for Disney and for Marvel. Now we come to the last one, Thor: Love and Thunder. $600 million at the box office, needs a minimum of $625 million to break even. It'll probably...
What's your source that needs that much? What's your source? You just pulled that number out of your ass.
Get there. It'll probably make maybe $50 million in profit when it's all said and done. But that is still embarrassing for Disney and for the MCU.
Yeah, and I have a feeling if it would made like $700 million, he'd be like, oh, it needs $725. It's embarrassing. Dude, you're just pulling numbers out of your ass and saying, oh, it doesn't meet this fictional number I pulled out of my ass. It's embarrassing.
At this point, you're not spending $250 million in budget, then all the marketing and all that stuff just to barely break even. But that's what Thor: Love and Thunder is doing. And all along the way, audiences have said to Marvel, like, we just want a good story. We're tired of all this garbage being pushed in our...
Bounding into comics. I've seen a lot of the sketchy news article sites before. Bounding in the comics is a new one for me, and they sound like they're totally on the anti-woke train. It sounds like Ryan Kinel could probably just read this article and it'd be pretty much his viewpoint.
Faces, and they're continuing to drive more and more people away. And I don't know what it was that caused them to end it so abruptly, Phase 4.
Probably the fact that they complete everything they were planning to complete and actually got a couple extra things in there. Usually when you do everything you're planning, you go ahead and move on to the next step. That's usually your strategy.
All of a sudden shift these other movies to Phase 5. Maybe Phase 4 has truly just been that poorly received, and Marvel hears it, and Kevin Feige hears it, and Disney.
So, let's say you're working on a project, and you've completed every step to that project. Do you continue working on that project, or do you move on to the next step? Seriously, dude. They did everything they planned. What do you want?
Disney hears it. They just want to move on from it and start something else. Get people excited about something else. I don't know if the plans will be any better for Phase 5, considering what Kevin Feige continues to say and continues to push. I highly doubt it. But one thing is certain. They wanted to get away from Phase 4 as fast as possible. So they killed it early just to get people hyped for Phase 5. That says something is going on with the MCU. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.
Okay, this video's already getting kind of long, and I wanted it to be more about Geeks and Gamers, but, it really just got focused on Ryan Kinel. And Ryan Kinel, Jesus Christ, what a piece of shit. Yeah, I think I've seen him on most every single Geeks and Gamers video I've seen. So he will pop up in Geeks and Gamers, and I'm sure I will come back to Geeks and Gamers. But Jesus Christ, wow. Holy shit. All the bad takes ever. And the difference, like I said, the difference between Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic is that, I mean, Critical Drinker is definitely doing a character. Nerdrotic, I'm pretty sure, is also doing a character. I don't think he used to do a character, but he does a character now. I don't think this guy is doing a character. I think those guys are just doing it for the money. This guy, I feel like, is just hardcore fuck people. In fact, I feel like this guy's just a hardcore piece of shit. Let's see. Ryan Kinel gained prominence from Geeks and Gamers. Hey, we're bringing it back around to Geeks and Gamers. Ryan originally gained prominence from Geeks and Gamers by being included as one of several starting YouTubers connected to the Fandom Menace. Fandom Menace are the people who make fucking Last Jedi videos still to this fucking day. Ryan has been the most recognized by those videos and soon became a part of other channels like Neurotics and Geeks and Gamers series, Friday Night Tights, premiering every Friday, talk about several news stories of the week, also having his own live stream series on Sunday evenings. So yeah, he's a major player in Geeks and Gamers. He's, god damn, bad news. This guy is bad news. Fucking fucking awful. And like I said, I don't think he's playing a character. I think this is who he really is. And who he is, at least what I've seen in these videos, he's definitely a transphobe. I bet you he's all the other things too.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.